हरि गुण गाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। वृंदावन तरुर लता प्रेमे को हरि कथा। वृंदावन तरुल लता प्रेमे को हरि कथा। निकुंजेर पक्षी गोली हरि नाम सुनाई। निकुंजेर पक्षी गोली हरि नाम सुनाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। गौर बोले हरि हरि शारी बोले हरि हरि। गौर बोले हरि हरि शारी बोले हरि हरि। मुखे मुखे शोक शारी हरि नाम गाई। मुखे मुखे शोक शारी हरि नाम गाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। हरि नामे मत होए हरि नासी छेदे। हरि नामे मत होए हरि नासी छेदे। मयूरी मयूरी प्रेमे नाचिया खिलाई। मयूरी मयूरी प्रेमे नाचिया खिलाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। प्राणे हरि ध्याने हरि हरि बोलो बदन भोरी। प्राणे हरि ध्याने हरि हरि बोलो बदन भोरी। हरि नाम गे गे रसे गल जाई। हरि नाम गे गे रसे गल जाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। आसिया जमुनार कोले नाचे हरि हरि बोले। आसिया जमुना कोले नाचे हरि हरि बोले। जमुना उठोले ऐसे चरण धोयाई। जमुना उठोले ऐसे चरण धोयाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। हरि गुण गाई हरि गुण गाई। हरि गुण गाई हरि गुण गाई। डुले डुले गौरा चांद हरि गुण गाई। हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरि बोल। हरे गोविंद। श्री राधे श्री राधे।
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
हरे कृष्णा।
Wonderful
हरे
singing.
थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
So Hare Krishna to Mataji's and Prabhuji's. Welcome to the online Bhagavad Gita course, yeah, from ISKCON Mangalore. So we'll start today with chapter 7. Yeah. So before that, let's recite the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadankitam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagara Jatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Shri Lalita Vishakhan Vitamscha हे कृष्णा करुण सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिनि नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणि निर्विशेषाय शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So today we are going to start chapter 7, so which is the next stage, right? So we are going to start the devotional service. Yeah? So devotional or the Bhakti Yoga. Yeah? So until now, the first 6 chapters covered Karma Yoga, right? And so now the next 6 chapters are about Bhakti. Okay. So in the last chapter, we went through Ashtanga Yoga, right? So, and then the different stages of Ashtanga Yoga, yeah? And say how to control the mind, and say the questions which were asked by Arjuna, saying that so mind is very flickery, very unstable, right? And then to control it is very difficult. And then he even says that it is easy to control the wind rather than the mind, to which even Krishna answers, right? So it can be done by practice and detachment. Yeah. And at the end, Krishna actually summarizes, right? So at the end, and the last words of 6.47, Krishna says that yoginam api sarvesham, right? So who is the best of all yogis? Who actually remembers him, right? Madgatantar Atmana. So he says that whosoever remembers me, right, who is always thinking of me within himself in full faith. So he is the greatest yogi among them. Okay. So he has actually opened the doors for Bhakti Yoga. Okay. So saying this, right, because even Arjuna said that so the Ashtanga Yoga process is very difficult, yeah, to follow. So hence Krishna has given a hint of what it is going to be in the next chapter. Yeah? So even the first 6 chapters, if we see in, right, the first 6 chapters were what? So basically, say we were dealing with Karma Yoga, right? So basically, what does Karma Yoga mean? So Karma, whatever we were dealing it is more of doing work without the results, right? So detached results. So Nishkama Karma Yoga was more or less the broader aspect of so you work with detachment. Yeah. So that was the overall essence of first 6 chapters, if you see in, right. And now the next 6 chapters is work with devotion. Okay. So only the words change. Yeah? So detachment becomes devotion. Okay. So that's the thing which we will be covering from here on. Yeah. So this is chapter 7. So it's all through devotion. Yeah? And then these are the important chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Right? This is the cream of Bhagavad Gita. So as we spoke in our first chapter, right, in our introduction, that this is the jewel of Bhagavad Gita. So in a jewel box, first 6 chapters are the lower lid, and jewel is middle 6, and the covering is the other 6 chapters. So in this, right, so Krishna actually discusses. So this chapter is known as the knowledge of the absolute. So this chapter is knowledge of absolute, and then if we actually uh, talk about in Sanskrit, it is called Gyana and Vigyana. Yeah. So in here, so we'll be knowing about Krishna. So Krishna is going to tell about Gyana and Vigyana. Yeah, he's going to teach us Gyana and Vigyana through Arjuna. So he gave these instructions to Arjuna. Okay. And then in here, right, so if you look in, say, in first chapter or in the first 3 verses, right, he's going to teach knowing Krishna in full by hearing about him. So he's going to tell us, okay, about him. Yeah. And then he is the source of both material and spiritual energies. Yeah. So this is all Jnanam. Okay. And then the 3 modes are also controlled by Krishna. Okay. Therefore, we need to surrender. The impious lack knowledge and never surrender to Krishna. The pious develop knowledge. And then we'll see what are the different categories of people who surrender, who do not surrender. Yeah. And then others who have no knowledge, those who surrender to demigods, those who are impersonalist, and at the end, the bewilderment of living entity and his freedom through knowledge of Krishna. So this is how Krishna is going to take us through. Yeah. And we'll see through. So how does he introduce this chapter, and then what are all things he's going to cover? Yeah. So 1 to 3 is nothing but knowing Krishna in full by hearing about himself. So here, um, so Krishna stresses more on hearing. Okay. He says that takshrunu. So there is a verse in the first verse only. He'll say that. Say you'll hear. So he gives a lot of importance on hearing. Okay. And then hear from whom? Here we are hearing directly from Krishna. Yeah, Krishna is directly speaking to Arjuna. So hear from an authority. Okay. So he begins this chapter by stressing on the hearing. Yeah? And because hearing is the first thing in the Navaveda Bhakti. Yeah. So here Lord Krishna says, yeah. So he says, so now hear about the gods, about Krishna's opulences, yeah. And then he is the source of everything, right? He reveals now more, yeah. And then in here, right, he only touches because his energies and his potencies are unlimited, okay. He only touches the significant ones here, okay. So it's not possible to cover everything here. So that's the reason he has touched the essential or the important ones, yeah. But this doesn't mean that this is the only list, yeah. So his list nobody knows, okay. So unless he speaks, we don't know, okay. So this is the connection from 6.49, okay. So here Sri Bhagavan Vacha, yeah. Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjun Madashraya Asamsayam Samagramam Mam Yatha Gnayeshu Gnayeshi Tachrunu. So here he says that you'll have to listen. Okay. So how? Maya Saktamana. Okay. So we'll have to listen by completely keeping our mind attached to it. Okay. So he says that whom? So where should the mind be attached? to him. So he says my is in the sense Krishna. It's not to anyone else. Okay. And how? So by practicing. Mat ashraya is nothing but taking his, so in his consciousness or in Krishna consciousness. Yeah? And asamshayam, so without doubt. Yeah. So he's saying that you'll have to actually surrender to me and then think of me. Yeah. And then, so he's saying practice. So what do we practice? He's saying practice the devotional service. Yeah. Or by practicing the yogi, because he mentioned, right, of all the yogis, the best yogi is the bhaktas. Yeah. So he's saying that do that. Yeah. And then you'll be free from all doubts. Yeah. And then if we do in that way only, we can know him in full. Okay. So, and then we will know we can appreciate his Gyanam and Vigyanam. Yeah. So that will come in the next verse. Yeah. In the chapter, in the verse second, we will know this. Yeah. So here we'll get the complete source. Yeah. So the knowledge of matter, spirit, and who is the controller of both. Okay. So the whole matter is nothing but the combination of the whole material existence is nothing but the combination of matter and spirit, and the controller of both is Krishna. Okay. So he actually is revealing his knowledge. Yeah. So in the next verse, we'll see what is Jnanam and Vijnanam. Yeah. And in here, right, in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, there are verses quoted. So yeah, so this is the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, so wherein the importance of hearing is discussed. Okay. So here we'll get to know in this text verse, right? So the Lord says that Lord, the absolute can be known in three ways, right? So one is the effulgence, Brahma Jyoti, yeah, and Brahman. The next one is Paramatma, and the last one is the final stage is the absolute truth, yeah. So, and then we know, right? So what happens to the Gyanis and yogis, yeah, and where do they go on, right? So the Gyanis, so they actually be stuck at the Brahman, which is nothing but the effulgence of the Lord, yeah? And Ashtanga Yoga, so they will know the Paramatma feature, yeah. And Bhakta, they will know the Bhagwan. So this is the ultimate thing which we should know in, okay. So the absolute truth is nothing but we should know by Bhakti, okay. So this is an example which was being discussed: sunshine, sun disk, and sun god. Or you can take an example, okay. Say maybe there are we can take the hills also, right? So you can take an example of hills or the example of milk. Okay. So hills, right? So when we see, when we are flying, right? So in an aeroplane, say when you're miles above, right? So you see something greenish, right? So you don't actually distinguish whether it's an hill or a patch of land or nothing, right? But as it descends, right? And say if you're on the road, then so whatever you see from the top, right? So that is Brahman. Okay, the greenish patch which you see. Okay, and then when you're passing by the road, right? So when you're crossing the hill by the road, then you can see that okay, this is not a green patch. This is a hill. Okay, and then when you stop and then you start climbing the hill, then you'll know what kind of vegetation is there. Okay, so that is the absolute truth. Okay. So this is one example which we can actually correlate easily. And the other one is, so we even can correlate with the milk also. Yeah, so this is also a famous example which we use. So milk, so like if you look at milk, you know that it's a white color substance, right? So that is Brahman. Okay. And so the other thing is, if you hear, say, about the milk qualities and all those things, right? So that is hearing, right? And then you touch it, okay, and so you smell it. If you touch, you'll know it is hot or cold. So these are like different stages of yoga process where you'll know. But so only when you drink the milk, right? So then you'll know the essence. Okay, so that is nothing but the absolute truth. Okay, these things are covered here. So herein, right? So what happens? Okay, so the hearing process, right? So what does the hearing process do? Yeah, so that is actually covered in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so in the text, right, 1.2.17. So it is said that why hearing is so important, right? So hearing about Krishna or from him. So what happens? It clears the heart. Yeah? As we all know, right? He is the best wishing friend, right? So nobody is going to come with us, okay, or say in your difficult times or whatever it is, right? It is only the Paramatma which actually carries, which comes with you, okay. And if with constant hearing, right? So Krishna will purify the devotees, okay, who are constantly engaged, yeah. And then by hearing more, one gets fixed in devotional service, yeah. And then he gets freedom from the modes of material nature, yeah. And then he becomes, his steps will move towards the mode of goodness, yeah. And there are a lot of details, so it's a lengthy purport, so you can go through that and then you'll know. So the even Prabhupada has given an gist of the whole summary of this Srimad Bhagavatam verses, and then he has given a small explanation also. Yeah. So what actually happens? Okay. So basically, hearing is the topmost. Yeah, and the first thing to start with in devotional service. Yeah, and then we will cover the nine devotional services. Right. So these are Navaveda Bhakti. Right. So it starts with Shravanam. Okay, Shravanam is nothing but hearing. Yeah, and Kirtanam. Kirtanam is chanting and glorifying the Lord. Okay, and Vishnu Smaranam. And so always thinking, remembering, like Prahlad Maharaj. And so Shravanam, the example is given is Maharaj Parikshit, right? Who had got only 7 days, right? So he knew that the only 7 days are left. And then how did he utilize all 7 days? It's nothing but hearing, yeah, and then chanting or glorifying. The example is taken of Shukadev Goswami, so who actually glorified the Lord in the 7 days. Yeah. So Pada Sevanam. So this is Lakshmi ji, yeah? And Archanam. So deity worship. Yeah. Mm, Vandanam is nothing but praying. Yeah. So here the example of Akrura is given, and Dasyam is the servitor, right? So Hanuman. Sakhyam is friendship. So Sudama, right? Atmanivedan is nothing but Bali Maharaj, right? So he actually gave everything, right? So this is the nine processes, and of among all these, right? This is the first one, and which is important, yeah. And anyone, right? So even in the later chapters, you'll know. So any of these processes, right? So if you are doing it perfectly, right, then you are covered. Yeah, one need not go through all these nine nine stages. Okay, but these are nine processes, and so this is also progressive. Okay, so it starts with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. If you do all these things, then only you will be able to go to this. Atma Nivedan stage. Else, it's difficult. But yeah, so but few exception cases are there where they can actually get liberated using any one of them. Yeah. So, but that one should be done. One process should be done perfectly. You know? So this covers the verse 1. Yeah. So in the next verse, right, he says that I shall declare you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. So here Krishna says that if you know these two things, right, Gyana and Vigyana. So he'll say, if you know, yeah, Gyatam and then Vigyanam, right? So if you know these two things, right, so there is nothing more to be known. Okay. So he reveals full knowledge of himself, right? So the Gyanam, right, is nothing but the phenomenal knowledge. Okay. So which is described in the part, and Vigyanam is numinous knowledge. So what does Gyanam means is knowledge about Krishna's energy. So which we are going to study in these two chapters. Yeah. His opulences, the spiritual world, material world, all these things are nothing but Gyanam. And Vigyanam is a deeper knowledge. Okay. So it is deeper knowledge about Krishna. Okay. About his sweet pastimes, the his personality, and then the affection we can say towards his devotees and all, right? These things, the deeper subject we'll know in chapter 9. Yeah. So we'll be going, all these things we'll be covering. So Krishna will cover one after the other. Yeah. So this is about energetic. Yeah. So we'll see through what is there in the next slide. Yeah. So same thing. Yeah. So complete knowledge. Yeah. So we'll know. Lord is going to explain the complete knowledge. Yes. So knowing this, nothing more to be known. Okay. This is complete. So what are the Jnanam, Vijnanam? So matter and this is spirit. Okay. Who is the controller? Lord Krishna. Okay. Lord explains to Arjuna's qualification. This we covered in 4.3 also. Yeah. And then he is cause of all causes, source of knowledge, and then only object for meditation. Yeah. So we know this, right? From Brahma Samhita, right? Ishvara Paramakrishna, right? He is the cause of Sarva Karana Karanam. Yeah. So we know that, and the eligibility is nothing but in 4 point, in the fourth chapter also it was said that we should be one should be a devotee and then it should flow through in an bona fide parampara, right? Yeah. And then say the next verse, right? The Krishna actually describes, say, how does this matter, and okay, and then who actually knows this? Yeah, correct. So there is something wherein he says that yeah, manushyanam, yeah, manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvata. Okay. Out of many thousand among men, right, one may endeavor for perfection. Okay. And out of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Yeah. So say out of thousand, right? So only one is a fortunate soul, right? So who actually will know about the Lord. Yeah. So all this knowledge, right? So others, so even if you take in our day and age, right? So most of the general public, they are not interested in all these things. Yeah. So and they cannot come even. So in general, right? So there are a lot of people who cannot practice this path. Yeah? And then if you ask them, they'll say that okay, this path is very easy. So If you ask the non-devotees or the Mayavadis, right, they'll say that bhakti yoga is easy. If it is so easy, right, so then why are they not actually following this? So in here, right, so so bhakti is not that easy. Okay, so as they say, right, so they feel that okay, bhakti is okay, so we can get it, but without devotion, right, so you'll not get bhakti. And then there is in so you'll get these things in the nectar of instructions devotion, so wherein Krishna will say that he is ready to give liberation, okay, but not bhakti. So anyone knows the answer? So why Krishna is ready to give liberation but not bhakti? And then bhakti, we cannot endeavor ourselves unless there is mercy of Lord and Guru. Yeah. So to move ahead in bhakti, right? So it is not unlike other yoga system. Yeah. So we should have Krishna's mercy. Without that, we can't do anything. And then, so bhakti is very difficult to achieve. Okay. So, so why does Krishna says that he can give away liberation if you want, but not bhakti? Anyone knows? Any guesses? Yeah. Anything anyone wants to speak? You can go ahead. So even if it is wrong, right? No problem. So I'll give you the right answer.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, bro.
Prabhuji, because bhakti comes from the pure love and devotion. So Krishna for them, for him, so like works are very, very precious. So just like that, he cannot give up on bhakti. But liberation is someone else, that's okay. But bhakti means getting close to Krishna, and not everyone can actually get very close to him. Only his pure devotees who are like free from this material, who know him actually, who know the absolute truth. So the one who has understood.
Yeah.
Some, yeah, somewhere near to the answer, Prabhuji. Not
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. So anyone wants to add anything to
Hare
this?
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, go ahead. Shiva Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Out of million, only one can reach the goal of self-realization and Sri Krishna.
Yeah, that's okay.
Hare
But
Krishna.
why doesn't Krishna give bhakti easily? Okay, any other thing anyone wants? Any angles?
With his mercy,
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Okay. So I think nobody else wants to attempt this question. The reason is he gets binded, right? So Krishna is only binded with the devotees, yeah. So nothing else can bind him, okay? Because if he gets binded, right, so he doesn't give it very easily because he becomes, say, like for Arjuna, he become a charioteer, right? So he gets binded to the devotees, right? For Yashoda Mata, he become her son, right? So that is the reason he doesn't give bhakti that easily because he gets binded, yeah. So in the material world, right? So only the what do we say? The servants serve the masters, but in the spiritual world, it's not like that. It can be vice versa also, right? Depending upon the need and situation. Yeah, that's the reason Krishna doesn't give bhakti because he gets binded. Yeah, so that's the reason he doesn't give. And here, right, different grades of men. Yeah. here we saw, right, saying that sahasreshu, right, so of thousands, okay, in Manushyana. So only few or one may get this chance, yeah, because most of the time, right, in general, the general public is interested in the animal life, yeah, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, yeah. And to knowing this, right, only few will know about these things, and then few can carry forward, okay. So the other things, right, so like one knowing the knowledge of soul, super soul, body, absolute truth, right, one knows this and then carry forwards this, yeah. And then in here also there are different stages, right, so knowing this knowledge also, so say one may go to the different types of yogas and then he may get stuck, right, so that's, and rarely one in thousands, right, so may actually take up bhakti and then he may do the perfect bhakti, so wherein he is the right candidate to actually go back to the godhead, yeah. So in one lifetime it may be possible or it may not be possible, yeah. So Bharat Maharaj was such a great Raj Rishi. For him it took 3 births, yeah. And then think of us. But yes, so we should endeavor, and then so the first 10,000 years of Kali Yuga are the golden age. So if we are not able to go to the spiritual world in this 10,000 years, right, so then it's going to be very difficult because the Kali Yuga will be more prominent, yeah. And then these are the other things, yeah. So can only be known process of so this is process of devotional service, yeah. So these are all things, so to know Krishna, the best thing is we approach the Krishna consciousness method, yeah. Okay, so we'll go to next section, so wherein so Krishna will tell us about the source. So he is the source of both material and spiritual energies, yeah? So he says, so in the next verse, right? So he actually comes up in the 7.4, right? So he gives his energies, yeah. So like earth, water, fire, air, earth, mind, intelligent, and false ego, right? Altogether, these 8 constitute my separate material energy. So he's going to discuss about the material energies, right? So in 7.4, so the Lord says, Bhumir apo anulo vayu khammano buddhir evacha ahankara itiyamte hinna prakritir ashtadha. So these are what? So 8 divisions, right? So out of which the first 5, earth, water, fire, air, ether. So these are gross, right? Intelligence, mind, and false ego is subtle. Yeah? And then from there, right? Say in the purport, if you read, there are again from these, right? There will be 10 more senses, okay, 10 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, and then 5 working senses, yeah? um, so altogether there will be 24 um, material elements, so which we will cover in the coming chapters, right? In chapter 13 we'll cover all these things, the 24 elements which are further derived from these 5 subtle things, yeah? So which is nothing but earth, water, fire, air, and ether. From there only, say all these derivations are done. Okay, and then this complete the material energies is actually created by 3 Vishnus. We know, right? So this is basically in this verse, the Lord is talking about the Prakriti. Okay, so the whole Prakriti is created by three Vishnus, we know, right? So the Karnodaksha Vishnu or the Mahavishnu, who actually sleeps in the ocean, and then who creates numerous universes out of his breath, right? And then we have, and in each universe, the Garbhodaksha Vishnu goes in, right? And from where the lotus flower comes out, yeah, from his navel, and then Brahma is born, and then he enters into all the living beings and atoms as Shreyodakshaya Vishnu. We know these things, right? Maybe let me search. Where is my Goloka chart? 1 minute. So this, yeah, I think we'll not go fully into the Goloka chart, but I'll just show you something. Whatever I was talking in, right? Is this visible, Goloka chart? Mataji, is this visible?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's visible. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Karana Ocean, yeah. It's Viraja River. So he actually so Krishna comes in the form of Karnadaksha Vishnu. Yeah? So he here, so by his breathing, right? So all these universes are populated, and then he actually, by his vision, right, he impregnates Maya Devi, which is nothing but the material energy. Yeah. So he is the seed giving father for all the material energies. And then here, if you see, right, once that is done, right, he enters as Garbhodayaksha Vishnu into every planet, every universe, right? This is one, right? So he enters here. Okay. And then, so from there, this is Garbhodaka ocean. Okay. And then from his navel, Brahma is born. Okay. You see? And then in every living entity, right? And then Brahma creates the living entities, right? So Brahma has been assigned that job. Okay. And then once that is done, right? Now the third Vishnu, right? Shreyadaksha Vishnu enters into the living entities as Paramatma. Okay. And then if you look, right, so the whole universe is actually segregated into three divisions, right? So upper, middle, and lower. Okay. Upper is nothing but Satyaloka, Tapoloka, Janaloka, Maharloka. Okay. And then this is Brahma's abode. Okay. And say the on top of it, somewhere we have the Goloka. Okay. So, and here these are nothing but so earthly planets. Yeah? So we are here. Okay. And then lower than the earthly planets are nothing but Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Tatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. Okay. So these are all, and then we this is the whole thing which we were talking in, and all these things are nothing but Krishna's creation, and then he is the one who manages all this stuff. Okay. Yeah. So I think this will give you a fair idea. Besides this, O mighty Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of the material nature. Okay. So this all these are inferior. Okay. So the material energy is inferior, and whatever is spiritual, right, that is superior, and then we are marginal. Okay. So why we are called as superior? Because of the soul. Okay. So because we are part of the Lord, right? We are part and parcel. So that's the reason. So we are in the marginal thing. Yeah. So wherein he says that the living entities, they actually destroy. Yeah. So we actually, for our sense gratification, so we destroy a lot of energy, right? So we should know that, so we are not the one who has created these things, yeah? And then we have no rights to destroy it, and so we only should use our own quota, yeah? So whatever is required, we should use it, and then we should get out of it, rather than we thinking that say we are the owners of these things, yeah? So even at times, right, the internal energy is called antaranga shakti, yeah, and the external energy is called bahiranga, and the marginal, where the souls are there, right, that is called tathastha. Okay, the marginal energy. Okay. So, and the other thing is, all these things, he'll come in the next thing, right? So he'll come, and wherein he'll touch base. Say why we are actually forgetting that, say, we are the subordinates, or we are servants of the Lord, yeah. And we, by knowing this, right, say that, say all these living entities, or both the spiritual and material worlds, are created by him, and then he is the controller. So we should actually cooperate it with it, yeah, so rather than start exploiting it, yeah. All created beings have their source in these two natures, yeah. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. Even he says that he is the cause of destruction also. Okay. So the creation part, right? The creation part is being given to Lord Brahma. Okay. And then the maintenance is done by Lord Vishnu, and destruction is done by Rudra or Lord Shiva. Okay. So whenever the time is over, right? So the Mahapralaya comes in, and then whereas the whole universes are destroyed. Yeah. So all this creation, destruction is done by Krishna himself. Okay. So here there is more explanation. Yeah. Earth, water, air, and false ego. Yeah. So this we just covered in, right? So Krishna material creation, right? And then so plenary expansions is nothing but Vishnu, who actually who maintains, yeah, and who enters Shreyadaksha Vishnu Paramatma, yeah. He enters into, he creates the diversities. First thing is creates total material energy, and then creates diversities, enters into every atom, yeah. So and then material world is, so basically what we think is for enjoyment of living entities, yeah. Living entities are purushas, cause controllers. So they feel that they enjoy, but that's not the thing. Yeah. And this material creation is temporary. Okay. And then all these things. Yeah. So this is the ingredients of material element is nothing but these five, yeah, cross elements. And then these are subtle. Okay. So these all we covered only. Yeah. Yeah. So this is what we said, right? Internal and Tathastha and Bahirangas. Yeah. So Bahiranga is nothing but the material world. So gross and subtle. Okay. This is marginal. So either we can use, so we have got the potential wherein we can actually try and go towards this or go towards this. If you're going towards this, you're going far from Krishna. If you're going towards this, then you're going towards Krishna. Okay. And then now in the next verse, right, actually Krishna explains that the whole universe, right, is actually he has everything rests upon him as pearls are strung on a thread. Okay, so we have some chain or lockets where we have all pearls, right? So everything are strung. So he is the one who maintains and controls this. Okay, so that is being covered in here. Okay, so wherein he says that O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on a thread. So he says that all the universes which are floating and everything, right? So everything is under his control. Yeah. So that is what Lord Krishna is actually enforcing here. Okay. So wherein he's giving the example of the string, right? So like, or else the kanti mala is there, right? All those tulsi beads are actually strung, or so they are actually uh, together only when there is that thread. Okay. So if that thread is not there, there is no control. So everything will spill over, right? So 7.7 says, Mat parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre maniganma iva. So he's saying, okay, so nothing is actually superior to him. Yeah, so everything. So so if you say, right, everything is controlled. Yeah, as the beads are controlled. Okay. Yeah. So what else we have here? Yeah, and then next he'll cover about the opulences. Yeah, so different opulences of Krishna. Okay, he says he's the taste of water. Okay, and then he is the light of moon and sun. Okay, so whatever the in the taste of water, right? So the water will not be tasty. So can we drink salt water or the water which is there in ocean? We can't, right? So we don't know. We use so many things of Krishna, yeah, and then say we never think of it. So the water which we drink is so sweet, right? So this is all the sweetness of water is from Krishna, yeah. And then the light where the moon and sun get in, right? So that is nothing but from the Brahman effulgence of the Lord. Okay. The effulgence of Lord is the light. Okay. And then he is Om of Vedic mantras. Yeah. And then he is the sound of ether. He is the fragrance of earth. Yeah. And he is the one who is the heat. Okay. So fire. Okay. So fire is required for everything, right? So even to cook, we need fire. Yeah. To run the industries, we need fire. And even to digest the food, also, we need fire. Okay. So even if the cooking, so if so once you eat, right, so the fire in the belly or the acidic thing, if that doesn't start lit up properly, right, in your belly, then your digestion is not happening properly. Yeah. So that's is nothing but about the fire. Yeah. And the life, all that lives, and all the tapas, yeah, and all the seeds, all the intelligent power, strength, everything. So he covers all these things. Yeah. So from these 7.8 to 10, right? So he actually covers the opulences. Yeah. So wherein all he is there. Yeah. So he actually first he covered the creation. Yeah. And then he says that the essence. Yeah. So he is the essence of everything. Yeah. And yeah. So we talk about the strength of the strength also, right? Yeah. Okay. And then so basically there is no contradiction. Yeah. So there is no second to him. Yeah. So that's something which should we should know. Yeah. So whatever we are getting, right, so all is due to him. Yeah. So these are all couple of opulences. Yeah. So not all the opulences. And know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are with me. So he says that he is here. Lord Krishna says that he has only created all this three gunas, yeah, and then he is above the gunas. Okay, so everything works under his direction. So we actually touch base this thing in the three doers section, right, of chapter 5, right? Jiva, Paramatma, and Prakriti, right? So we touched that. Okay, so that is also his energy only, yeah, and everything, right? Say all these gunas, whatever we act, right? It is under his supervision, and then he is called Nirguna because he is not affected by any of these gunas. Okay, say we are impacted with the gunas, but the Lord is never having any effect. So that because he is the origin, he is Nirguna, he is not affected by the modes. Okay, so and similar example we saw in, right, so where I think second chapter also we saw, right, so where the lawmaker or the king is not subjected to the state laws, right? So here, though the Lord is facilitating these all gunas, but he is not affected, okay, by these gunas, okay. And then because we are actually affected by these three gunas, right? So we are bewildered, uh, and say, and then we forget the actual purpose why we have come here, yeah. And so that's the problem. So we actually go into our bodily conceptions, right? So, wherein we identify ourselves as an Indian or an American, yeah, by a community, even in the Varnashrama also, right? The examples are given. So wherein, say, the Brahmanas are in the mode of goodness, yeah, and the kings are in the mode of goodness, yeah, and Rajaguna, so passion, yeah, and the Vaishyas are in the mode of passion, and the Shudras are in the mode of ignorance, yeah. So these all things again we spoke, that is about, that is not by the caste, but that is by the guna and karma, and all these things, right? So this are all temporary, yeah? So all these designations or whatever the bodily conceptions we have, right, these are not permanent, yeah, and then this will not stay for longer time, okay. So we'll have to actually cross this stage of the mode of goodness, because even the mode of goodness, right, there are chances of us becoming complacent because we are not doing anything wrong, right? So we are stuck there because we are doing everything good, and then yeah, so you're not doing any harm to anyone, or say you're not doing any impious activities. But the thing is, we'll have to move from there also, okay. So therein, in mode of goodness also, so we have some selfish objective, okay. So beyond that, we'll have to move. We'll touch base that in coming chapters, okay. So we should go beyond the modes of okay. So this is nirguna, okay. I touched okay, uh, text 13 also, that's fine. So this is nirguna, yeah. So all material activities are conducted under the three modes, okay. So the whole material activities we touched, right? So it is being carried, and then Krishna actually is the controller of it. The modes emanate from the Supreme Lord, and he is not subordinate to them. Okay, these all comes from him. He is not the one who is impacted with him. That's the reason he is called as Nirguna. And then this is the analogy, yeah, which is being touched here. This is 7 point, okay, 12, right? Yeah, 13, right? Even I covered part of 13. Yeah, deluded by the three modes. Yeah, I covered this. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. The whole world does not know me, who am above the three modes. Okay. So, and yeah, this 7.14, let's cover from 7.14. Let us cover from next class. Yeah. So this needs some time. So I may end up even taking 10 minutes. I don't want to take this sloka in a hurry. Yeah. So this is important sloka. Devahi yesha gunamaya mama maya duratya mame vaye prapadyante mame tam tarantite. Very nice sloka. Yeah. So wherein we'll know in the next class I'll discuss about this. So it is even Krishna says that it is difficult to overcome the three modes of material nature. But those who surrender, they can be easily brought up. Yeah, and then the purport is also very nice. We'll read this in the next chapter. Hare Krishna. So we'll wind up for today. Any questions anyone has? You can raise your digital hand. Okay, Pankaj Prabhu has a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
I want to understand who exactly is Yoga Maya, and when we call about the material energy, Prakriti, are these Prakriti and material energy both? If material energy is again the Yoga Maya, then is it Prakriti also a Yoga Maya? So, Prabhuji, this is one question, and the second question, like, who is Katwar Ranga Maharaja? Like, he attained salvation last time of his. No, I mean at the time of death. So, Prabhuji, that story. Hare Krishna.
That story, Khatwanga Maharaj story, is nothing but is this actually comes in Bhagavatam. Okay, so wherein he gets the liberation at the last. So mostly we give this, we cite this example, right? Say basically knowing even at the last. Say time also, right? So like when we have 10-15 minutes or so, you know that you have got say 1 day or say time, right? And then if you take up at the end also, so basically this example is given saying that you can take the what the devotional service, right, at any time, and even at the end, right? So even if you take the devotional service for a limited time also, you can go back. So that's in short of Katwanga Maharaj. So details, it needs time. You can read from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So he got liberated in a very small span of time. Yeah. So it is like when you can surrender to the Lord. Okay. So if you have the capability and at the end of your life, right, so you feel that, okay, last 7 minutes are there and you want to actually you want to actually um, think of him and then go away, right? So even that's there. Possibly in the next chapters when so we will deal with these things, no, Prabhu. So what happens after death, and so at that time I'll touch base this, yeah. And what was the other question, Prabhu? So yours was the first question was Yogamaya, right?
Yes, Prabhuji, Yoga Maya, material energy, and
So
Prakriti.
where do you read, Prabhu? So you're actually the these are little bit advanced. Yeah? Maya is of two types. Okay, Prabhu.
Yes,
So one
Prabhuji.
is Mahamaya and Yogamaya. Okay. So we are in Mahamaya. So the dance which we are doing in this material world is all Mahamaya. Okay. So where we are serving the Durga Devi. Okay. And say Yogamaya is the other one. So wherein, so that's once we are out of this shield, right? So actually the Lord is covered by Yogamaya and this Mahamaya. So Mahamaya is us. Okay. And then Yogamaya is a curtain which is the next curtain. Okay, so wherein so that is used in the spiritual thing. Yeah, so wherein say if you all this vision and all this, right, like Arjuna got the vision, or say if any pastimes has to happen, right, all those things happen through Yogamaya. Okay, all the pastimes of Lord and all those things, like Arjuna actually forgetting everything for a moment and all those things, right? That is Yogamaya. So Yogamaya covering it for a while, because to have a pastime, yeah. So all those things are Yogamaya thing, and then they can see the Lord. Okay, so when Krishna was there, right? So even on the battlefield, right? So those who were devotees, right? So they were in the Yogamaya thing. So where they could see the conversation of both Arjuna and Krishna. But if you look at from the other side, right? So the party of Duryodhana, they couldn't, because they were all in Mahamaya. Okay.
So Prabhuji, if Maha Maya is an illusion, so when the Lord Krishna came, like Yoga Maya also came, and the Yoga Maya she tricked Kamsa.
Yeah.
So isn't Yoga Maya also an illusion? Because Kamsa also got tricked that the baby is like then when he was
Kamsa is never. Kamsa is more always in Mahamaya, right? So he is not a devotee, right? So,
but then that was a Yoga Maya, na, with the baby which
but
the
that
Kamsa.
uh, that is what she came in, right? So that was who goddess of Durga Devi came in, right? So at that time, which episode are you referring, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, from the actually book only, Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I already read many, but yeah, I was already doubtful if Yoga Maya, material energy, and Prakriti are
No,
all
different.
same.
No, all are different.
Then who is material energy, Prabhu?
Material energy is Durga Devi. Okay, so simple, Prabhu. So we are on the material energy, right? Even if you look in, right? So the Durga Devi is the owner of material energy. Okay, she is the Shakti. Okay, and then she is controlled by the Shaktiman, who is nothing but Lord Krishna. Okay, that is clear, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. So Yoga Maya also you said is a goddess Durga, and material
No.
energy.
She is not goddess Durga. So Durga Devi is material energy. So she
Okay.
is the one. If you see this Goloka chart also, right? She has
Yes, Prabhuji.
been
Yeah.
so there we did see, right? So this
Yeah,
is
there was a Durga Devi
yeah.
present
So
along with
this is
Shiva.
yeah. So this is nothing but material energy. She is the owner of
Yeah, Maya is written Prabhu here.
yeah. But you see, this is Durga Devi. Yeah. So and there we know, right? In the coming chapters also we'll know that there are three like in the Trishul also is there, right? So there are significance of that Trishul also. So three miseries of living entities. Yeah. So that is nothing but the material nature. Yeah. So the material nature is Mahamaya. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And
Then what is Prakriti Prabhu?
so Prakriti is material energy, right? Material energy. So this you will know more on chapter 13. Yeah. So chapter 13, all these things will get clarified. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu, but
Hmm.
related to question that you answered for the
Hmm. Hmm.
Katwa Ranga
Hmm.
Maharaj.
Hmm.
Prabhu, is it
Khatwanga.
not? Khatwa. Yes, Prabhu. Sorry for the pronunciation. Prabhu, is it not unfair for the other people who are like practicing and like they keep hearing, they keep chanting, they keep doing Shravanam of Lord Krishna, and at the end, like the one who actually doesn't do all these activities, but at the end of his life, like in last few moments, he decides to pick up the devotion because now he's afraid and he chants and then he gets liberated. So this is not, we are working for last so many years and someone working for just last, this is like smart work and given more preference than
But
hard work.
you can't do it, Prabhu. So leave about that. Okay. So even if you practice for the laugh for your lifetime, right? At the end, remembering Krishna is very difficult. Okay. So he was one of the exceptional cases where he could do it. Okay. So because so he got
Ajamila
that
was also
blessings.
there, na?
Yeah,
Ajamila.
but Ajamila got the second chance, right? So that those are exceptions. How many get those chances? So if you look in, right, compared to Ajamila, Bharat Maharaj was much more advanced, okay, than Ajamila. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So those are exception cases, and then we can't count into them, bro. So leave about those things, right? Any difficulty which you get in, bro. So do you think that you'll be remembering Krishna? Nothing. So it's very difficult. And at the end of the life, right, things are so bad. So yeah, those discussions are there in Bhagavatam. If you read in, right, so you can't remember anything. So there will be so many pressures and all those things, right? So that's the reason we take all this lifetime, because if it becomes in our DNA, right? So then it comes naturally at the time of death. We can think of Krishna, right? Else it's not possible, Prabhu. So Khatwanga Maharaj was an exceptional case. Okay. So and even Ajamila, right? We all cannot be Ajamilas. Okay. Because he was a pious man, a person. We know, right? Ajamila was a pious person before actually looking at that dirty site, right? So he was a very pious person. Okay. 1 minute, Prabhu. So my battery is getting drained out. Let me charge it once. Okay, Hare Krishna. I just got the charger. Prabhakar Prabhu, you have anything to discuss? Hello? Hello?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I had one small doubt that it is not related to this seventh chapter actually. But I
Okay.
told one of my friend that you can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Okay.
Then what he is asked, no, that what is the meaning of exactly what is mean by Hare? Hare. What is meaning by Hare?
Okay. Hare is nothing but so we are addressing Radharani. Okay.
Rather.
Yeah. Hare is Radharani and Krishna and Rama. Okay. So that is the actual meaning, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay. So I think we can wind up for today's section. So Prabhu will cover that Khatwanga Maharaj story in the coming chapters. Okay. So
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank
yeah.
you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, and the doubts which you have about Prakriti and all those things, right? So we'll get clarified in the 13th chapter. Okay, so yeah, okay. So we'll wind up for the class for today. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.